Welcome to Hypothetically Sound, where we bring you the best in AI-generated stories. Today, we're excited to take you on an epic journey through time with the Timekeeper's Curse. Join a time traveler's quest to gather the pieces of a powerful ancient artifact, but be prepared for the consequences of obsession. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and leave a comment, and be sure to check out our other AI-made stories for more thrilling adventures.
Jack was a tall and rugged individual with a strong sense of determination and a love for adventure. He had been trained in various combat techniques, including hand-to-hand combat and sword fighting, and was proficient in handling a wide range of weapons. He had a photographic memory and a keen intellect, which had served him well in his many time-traveling adventures. He was also a skilled hacker and had a knack for cracking codes and solving puzzles. Jack had been a time traveler for many years, and had visited many different eras in the past. He had always been fascinated by history and the idea of being able to change it. But he had never found anything quite like the ancient artifact that he discovered in the year 3000. The year was 3000, and the world had changed beyond recognition. The society was highly advanced and technology had surpassed all human imagination. But with this progress came a new set of problems. The world was plagued by overpopulation, pollution, and a lack of resources. The government had implemented strict rules to control the population and conserve resources, but it was not enough. Jack's discovery of the ancient artifact began with a chance encounter in an old bookstore. He found an ancient manuscript hidden away in a corner of the shop. As he read through the manuscript, he discovered that it contained information about a powerful ancient artifact. The artifact was said to have the power to control time and change the course of history. Jack was immediately intrigued, and he knew that he had to find all the pieces of the artifact. He spent the next few months studying the manuscript and piecing together clues about where the artifact might be located. He discovered that the artifact was composed of several pieces, each hidden in different eras of the past. He knew that he had to travel back in time to find each piece and bring it back to the present. Without hesitation, Jack set out on a journey through time to gather the pieces of the ancient artifact. He traveled to different eras, from ancient Egypt to medieval Europe, facing countless challenges and overcoming many obstacles along the way. He encountered fierce warriors, treacherous thieves, and powerful sorcerers, but he never gave up. He used all of his skills, including his combat training, hacking abilities, and intellect to outsmart and defeat his adversaries. Through his journey, Jack learned that the artifact was not only a powerful tool, but also a test of character. He had to prove himself worthy of its power by facing his fears, overcoming his weaknesses, and making difficult choices. Jack's first stop on his journey was ancient Egypt, where he searched the pyramids for the first piece of the artifact. He knew that the piece was hidden deep within one of the pyramids, but he also knew that the pyramid was heavily guarded by the pharaoh's army. Jack decided to sneak into the pyramid at night, when the guards were less alert. He made his way through the desert, avoiding the patrols and dodging traps, until he reached the pyramid. He climbed to the top, and then made his way down into the depths of the pyramid using his climbing and hacking skills. Once inside, Jack found himself in a maze of corridors and chambers. He had to use his photographic memory and puzzle-solving skills to navigate through the pyramid and find the piece of the artifact. Along the way, he encountered many dangers, such as deadly traps and fierce mummies. But he didn't let that stop him. He battled his way through, using his combat training and quick thinking to defeat his enemies. After hours of searching, Jack finally found the piece of the artifact. He carefully took it out of its hiding place and put it in his backpack. He then made his way back out of the pyramid and fled into the desert, pursued by the pharaoh's soldiers. He managed to outrun the soldiers and make his way back to the time machine. He returned to the present, where he was greeted as a hero. He had successfully retrieved the first piece of the artifact and was one step closer to saving the world. With the first piece of the artifact securely in his possession, Jack set his sights on his next destination, medieval Europe. He knew that the second piece of the artifact was hidden in a castle, guarded by a powerful sorcerer. Jack traveled back in time to the Middle Ages and made his way to the castle. Once again, he had to use his combat skills and intellect to overcome the many obstacles in his path. He snuck into the castle undetected and began his search for the piece of the artifact. The sorcerer had set many traps and illusions to protect the artifact, but Jack was not deterred. He used his hacking skills to bypass the traps and his puzzle-solving abilities to unravel the illusions. He battled fierce knights and outsmarted the sorcerer in a magical duel. After several hours of searching, Jack finally found the second piece of the artifact. He took it and carefully placed it in his backpack, next to the first piece. He then made a quick escape, pursued by the sorcerer's minions. Jack managed to outrun the minions and make his way back to his time machine. He returned to the present, where he was greeted as a hero. He had successfully retrieved the second piece of the artifact and was one step closer to saving the world. With 2 pieces of the artifact in his possession, Jack knew that his journey was far from over. He had to find the remaining pieces and put them together to unlock the artifact's full power. He was ready for his next adventure and the challenges that lay ahead. Jack's next destination was ancient China, where the third piece of the artifact was said to be hidden in a temple deep in the mountains. He knew that the temple was guarded by fierce warriors and that the journey to get there would be treacherous. Jack traveled back in time and made his way through the mountains, facing many obstacles along the way. He had to navigate through dense forests, cross treacherous rivers, and climb steep cliffs. He also had to avoid bandits and wild animals. Once he finally reached the temple, he found it was guarded by a group of skilled warriors who were trained in the art of kung fu. Jack had to put his combat skills to the test. He fought with all his strength, using his sword and hand-to-hand combat skills. After a long and grueling battle, he emerged victorious. Inside the temple, Jack had to solve many riddles and puzzles to find the third piece of the artifact. He used his intelligence, knowledge of ancient Chinese culture and his photographic memory to uncover the secrets of the temple. Finally, after hours of searching, Jack found the third piece of the artifact. He took it and carefully placed it in his backpack, next to the first and second piece. He then made a quick escape, pursued by the temple's guardians. Jack managed to outrun the guardians and make his way back to his time machine. He returned to the present, where he was greeted as a hero. He had successfully retrieved the third piece of the artifact and was one step closer to saving the world. With 3 pieces of the artifact in hand, Jack knew that his journey was far from over. He still had to find the remaining pieces and put them together to unlock the artifact's full power. He decided that his next destination would be the ancient civilization of Atlantis. He traveled back in time to the height of the Atlantean civilization and found himself in a bustling city of gleaming white buildings and advanced technology. He knew that the fourth piece of the artifact was hidden within the city's central temple, but it was heavily guarded by the Atlanteans' advanced security systems and highly trained soldiers. Jack had to use all of his skills to infiltrate the temple and avoid detection. He used his hacking abilities to bypass the security systems and his combat skills to defeat the guards. He also had to solve various puzzles and riddles to access the innermost sanctum where the fourth piece of the artifact was kept. Once he found the fourth piece of the artifact, he had to make a quick escape as the alarm was raised and the temple's guards were after him. He used his agility, combat skills, and knowledge of the city to evade the guards and make it back to his time machine. With 4 pieces of the artifact in hand, Jack knew that his journey was coming to a close. He had 1 piece remaining, but he also knew that the final piece would be the most difficult to obtain. He decided that his next destination would be the lost city of El Dorado. He traveled back in time to the height of the El Dorado civilization and found himself in a city made entirely of gold. He knew that the final piece of the artifact was hidden deep within the city's central temple, but it was guarded by a powerful sorcerer who had casted a powerful spell to protect it. Jack knew that he had to be extra careful and smart in order to find the last piece and unlock the artifact's full power. He had to navigate through dangerous jungle, face deadly creatures, and overcome treacherous obstacles to reach the lost city of El Dorado. Once he reached the city, he found that the sorcerer had set many traps and illusions to protect the artifact. Jack had to use all his hacking and puzzle-solving skills to bypass the traps and unravel the illusions. He also had to face the sorcerer in a magical duel to break the spell and gain access to the temple. Once inside the temple, Jack found that the final piece of the artifact was hidden behind a complex mechanism that required him to solve a series of challenging riddles and puzzles. He used his intelligence, knowledge of ancient cultures, and his photographic memory to solve the mechanism and retrieve the final piece of the artifact. With all the pieces in his possession, Jack knew that his journey was finally over. He carefully put all the pieces together and the artifact's power was unlocked. The artifact granted him immense power and he knew that he could use it to change the future and save the world from its impending doom. Jack returned to the present, where he was hailed as a hero. He had saved the future and secured a place in history as a time-traveling legend. His journey had been long and difficult, but he had proven himself worthy of the artifact's power and had succeeded in his mission to save the world. With all the pieces of the artifact assembled, Jack felt a surge of power coursing through his body. He knew that he could use this power to change the future and save the world from its impending doom. At first, he used his newfound powers for good. He used the artifact's power to solve the world's problems, such as overpopulation, pollution, and a lack of resources. He created a utopia where everyone lived in peace and prosperity. He became a hero, beloved by all. But as time went on, Jack began to realize that the artifact's power also came with a great responsibility. He found that he could not control the artifact's power, and it began to consume him. He became increasingly obsessed with maintaining his power and control over the world. He started to see anyone who opposed him as a threat and began to eliminate them. He became ruthless, and his once noble intentions were corrupted by his obsession for power. He turned into a dictator who controlled every aspect of people's lives. The world was plunged into darkness, and people lived in fear of him. They had no rights and no freedom. They couldn't even speak out against him. Jack had become the very thing he had once fought against. In the end, Jack was consumed by the artifact's power, and he became the very thing he had once fought against. He had become a tyrant who controlled every aspect of people's lives. He had saved the world, but at a terrible cost. The artifact's power was too much for any one person to handle, and it had ultimately led to Jack's downfall. He had become a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and the consequences of one's actions.